Hey, this is Pat, and today we're checking out the all-new Scorpion EXO ST1400 Evo helmet. Now, for a very long name, what you really need to know is that this is the Evo version of the ST1400 that we've seen out of Scorpion's line for the last few years. And it's getting a couple key updates. Mostly the ECE 2206 safety certification is getting updated from the 2205 system they had before. But the one key part I will say is they did listen to a lot of customer feedback when it came to noise levels inside of the helmet and added reinforcements to help mitigate that, which I will talk about through the rest of this video. But one thing I want to call out here, ST in the name does stand for sport touring. So you can see a very sporty look to it, nice and streamlined shape, something that you could easily ride in the 3/4 to full tuck position, but really would be at home in the upright and touring positions on something like a Multistrada or the sport touring bikes out there. I really dig the style. It's something that's been in their line for a few years. The overall style, the overall shell, the main construction, everything like that didn't really change at all to meet the 2206 safety ratings, but they did change up the names just to give it the designation for the key features, like I said, that I will talk about in just a second. But let's hit some of the quick features right out of the gate. It is a 3K carbon TCTU composition shell that they are using, which I think is great. It's a CAD design, so they are nice and specific on exactly where they want all the ventilation points and that 3K carbon put in there. 3 shell sizes. It is extra small, small to medium. Large is its own shell size, and extra large up to 2 extra large is that 3rd shell size. DOT ECE 2206, as I mentioned before, 3 pounds 7 ounces in a size large, so really middle of the range when it comes to a carbon shell. Sport touring with a drop down, really middle of the weight range. I like to see that right in that middle 3-pound area. And it is intermediate oval in its fit, so a little bit longer front to back than it is side to side, but I will say, just like its predecessor, fits about a half size small. So if you are between 2 sizes, you might want to look at going up to the taller size and getting a thicker set of padding around the cheeks, but it will help fit around your temple a little bit better. And it does have the AirFit technology, which again, I'll show you on the interior, so you can actually pump up just like the old pump shoes. You can pump it up around the cheeks just to get the perfect fitment dialed in. Coming in at $430, that did not change. That's the same price as the old version, again small up to 2 extra large, and the standard version will come in 2 colorways, which really just show off the carbon fiber. You have it in this gloss. There's also going to be a matte version as well. But let's just take a look at a lot of the features throughout the helmet. You do have direct venting up at the chin on both sides, a center locking mechanism for the face shield. It is a clear Pinlock ready face shield with a Pinlock included out of the box, and you also get a spare non-Pinlock ready shield in there that is also clear, that will be anti-fog coated. So I do like that they're giving you options out there. And I mentioned it before, you do get a drop down smoke visor on the interior. That is going to be about 70 millimeters in length. That's on average what we see for most brands out there, 80 being the max, 85 in some HJCs, but 70 is right there in that sweet spot. And you have that mechanism over here on the left side behind the entire visor mechanism, which is again pretty simple. You just push up on the tab right there. It'll pop the shield out in the upright position. You can change it out if you want to go with a dark smoke shield, if you like doing dark on dark, or if you just want to swap out for that other clear visor. You do have that option. Pretty decent detents in there. Not something I'd say you'd be moving at speed. You know, anything over speed, you're going to be wanting to keep that down. But I do like that it is nice and stout. And again, you have that metal on metal center locking system. You just have to make sure that you do find that system in there. There is a little bit of a release underneath of it that you can get your gloved hand under. It just takes a little bit of learning to get that without, say, accidentally closing the shield down. Good gasket all the way around. It's not going to allow too much air through. And again, I mentioned that vent in the front. You also get a vent up top, which was part of that sound reduction redesign. They reworked the interior of this center vent that goes all the way back into the spoiler, added some features at the back as well as the front just to quiet down the air, still allowing the air to pass through, but allowing it to be a little bit more quiet if you are putting extended miles on, you're going higher speeds, you want to make sure that you're protecting your ears. I'd still say you want to wear earplugs with any helmet out there to protect your ears in the long run, especially at highway speeds, but this helps mitigate it right out of the box, which is always something we look for. A little bit of a hawksbill design to it just to protect the shoulders. If you're going for a more aggressive riding position, you do have that. Swinging around to the rear, those exhaust vents are built into that spoiler up top and a nice clean design at the rear. Again, nothing really too crazy here, nice little flat spot, but again, it's helping pull all that air out of that vent in the back just to keep you cool in the hotter months of the year. Swinging to the interior, I mentioned before, it is intermediate oval in its fit front to back. You do have a removable chin skirt, emergency release cheek pads as well, and I can pull these out. You can see nice contour to them, antimicrobial, and something that's gonna help wick sweat away from you, with a nice plastic tab inside the shell to give you a little bit of reinforcement with some reflective piping built into the base. But again, you can see that emergency release tab. Emergency release tabs aren't something you wanna use routinely to remove it because it can break the snaps off. Again, they're meant to only be used in emergencies, but they are on there should you go down and say EMS has to remove the helmet. You do have that option very clearly pointed out, and it is going to be something that these are eyeglass friendly. You can actually see a little bit of the logo there. It's nice and easy to get eyeglasses through, and prescription glasses, anything that's not going to be too crazy when it comes to the overall fitment. Moving this chin skirt out of the way, you can see that's the AirFit technology with the pump at the front of the jawline, and the release valve is in there as well, but you can pump it up and get that fitment to push the cheek pads in, and then there is also another tab to go ahead and release that when you need to. Really cool feature we've seen from Scorpion over the years. Really like this feature just because it really helps hone in the overall fit of the helmet. You do have speaker pockets in there. They currently have a small tab inside of it just to keep them in there. If you're not using speakers, make sure you keep those in there. That will help mitigate a lot of that noise levels that's coming in. And while I have it at the side, one thing I want to call out is, hopefully you can see it, around the double D-ring straps in here, you can actually see little bits of foam in there. They're really just trying to fill any area inside of there that's not being used. They filled with a lot of the foam, a lot of 3D mesh, just to help mitigate that noise level. Anything that looks like a cavity or anything like that's gonna really make the helmet louder. So they went ahead and added that in there compared to the previous ST1400, which is really cool. They were listening to customer feedback. They really went through, they thought about how to do it, and they had a pretty simple approach to fixing the noise levels inside of it. Removing the top liner, it is snaps at the rear with a brow mount at the front. A nice brow mount, so it's not going to give you any pressure points at the front of the helmet, but snaps right behind the back of the head. That's not going to cause any issues. Again, that's not really somewhere where you're pushing up a lot of pressure points inside the head, but really deep channels inside of the helmet. That's one thing I want to call out that is different from the older ST1400. It is something that has a huge channels in there. That comes with the ECE 2206. They had to rework a lot of the EPS liners to meet the new standard out of Europe. So I like that they added the channels in there just to help that airflow go from the front of the helmet through to the back of it as well. One thing about the speaker pockets I will call out, it's something that about 40 millimeters, 40 to 45. I think it'd be very tough to fit the bigger speakers out there, like 45 millimeter speakers, JBLs and Harman Kardons that we've seen from Sena and Cardo. But I will say that it is something that you could easily put it in there and put a spacer inside of it just to get it to really stick out a bit farther. Just keep in mind, you're not gonna be able to just fit a 45 millimeter in there. I tested it, just didn't fit all that well. But there you have the ST1400 Evo from Scorpion. As far as updates go, really didn't change the overall design of the helmet, which we like. It was a very popular style, it was a very popular look, and a very cool sport touring helmet with a lot of solid features. They just updated the ECE 2206. They didn't change the price, still $430, and they made it a little bit quieter where they could without having to redo the overall shell design. So all in, I really dig this helmet. I think this would be a solid option for any tourers out there, anybody putting long miles down on a sport bike or a sport touring bike like a Multistrada. Anybody putting long time in the saddle would be a solid option here for you. But if you have any other questions, click that info button. That's going to take you over to the product page where you can read other rider reviews and see what other riders are saying about this all new Scorpion. If you still have questions after that, or if you're confused on sizing and we'll make sure that you're getting the right size, feel free to reach out to our customer service agents. They're all riders, happy to help you get set up for your next ride. I want to thank you for joining me and checking out the all new Scorpion EXO ST1400 Evo helmet. I'm Pat. I'll see you in the next video.